have I done?
Oh, God!
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into, well, a really harrowing set of documents, letters, narratives, all telling these two intertwined stories.
That's right. On one hand, you've got this physical quest, this journey to the North Pole, and on the other, a kind of moral journey downwards, all following this unnatural act of creation.
And the whole thing is framed by these letters from Robert Walton. He's this English navigator, super ambitious. His journey into the Arctic really sets the stage, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It frames the ambition, the sort of doomed ambition of the man he ends up rescuing, Victor Frankenstein. You immediately get this tension.
Between what? Idealism and reality.
Pretty much. The idealized dream of glory versus the, brutal facts of nature.
Yeah.
And morality. We start in this place of danger, total isolation, and, well, ultimately failure.
So we first meet Walton through his letters to his sister, Margaret Seville. It's December 11th, 17-something, and he's in St. Petersburg.
Already a long way from home, but he's just buzzing with this enthusiasm. It's almost reckless. He refuses to believe the North Pole is just, quote, a seat of frost and desolation.
He actually imagines it completely differently, like a paradise.
Exactly. He paints this picture of a region of beauty and delight. No snow, no frost, just perpetual sunshine. It's pure fantasy.
And it's not just about finding a passage, is it?
No, not at all. He wants to find a new route, sure, but he also wants to discover the secret of the magnet. It's as much about intellectual conquest, as physical, almost mystical.
The depth of this ambition is kind of staggering. He says he chose glory over ease and luxury.
And it wasn't just a whim. He spells out 6 years of intense preparation.
Right, going out with whale fishers, working as an undermate on Greenland whalers.
Deliberately enduring cold, famine, thirst, and want of sleep. He literally trained his body to suffer, all for this idealized goal.
That intense focus, ignoring health, comfort, everything for some grand abstract idea.
Yeah.
It feels like a foreshadowing.
It's the absolute blueprint for Victor Frankenstein. We're basically tracking the fallout of this kind of unchecked ambition, whether it's seeking glory in the ice or, well, seeking the secrets of life itself.
In both cases, the individual drive just overrides everything else. Common sense, duty.
Yeah. So Walton sets sail in June. By early July, he's making good progress, but he mentions these floating sheets of ice, already signs of danger.
But he just brushes it off. He's totally convinced, isn't he? Success shall crown my endeavors. Almost like blind faith.
That absolute certainty, it makes what happens next on August 5th even more jarring. The ship gets trapped, suddenly. Ice, thick fog.
And then the mist clears. And they see it.
The first real crack in reality for Walton's crew, this gigantic stature of a man on a dock sledge heading north.
It's this bizarre, almost ghostly vision. Suggests they're closer to something else, something unnatural.
And then just a couple of hours later, the ice cracks open and another sledge drifts towards them. This one's broken, floating on a chunk of ice.
And that's where they find him. Victor Frankenstein.
Right. Not some savage inhabitant, but a European man. Emaciated, nearly frozen, basically dying.
But here's the thing that gets me. He's literally seconds from death.
Right.
Freezing. Starving.
Uh-huh.
And before he agrees to come aboard, he asks just one question.
Whither you are bound.
Exactly. And when Walton says they're on a voyage of discovery towards the Northern Pole, Victor's satisfied. He gets on the ship.
The pursuit itself is more important than his own survival, even at death's door. It's chilling, really.
And Walton, who kind of shares that obsessive drive, he connects with Victor immediately.
Instantly. He sees the wildness and even madness in Victor's eyes, but also these moments of sweetness and the grief. It's overwhelming. Walton feels this deep sympathy.
It starts as a rescue, but it quickly turns into something else, like Walton's becoming an apprentice in misery.
And the mystery of that first giant figure solved almost right away. The lieutenant mentions seeing him.
And Victor, weak as he is, just snaps back. To seek one who fled from me. And he calls this figure a demon.
A demon, yeah. This is the crucial moment. Victor sees his own madness reflected in Walton's ambition. That intoxicating draft, he calls it.
And he gives this warning.
The ultimate warning. Unhappy men, do you share my madness?
Yeah.
Hear me, let me reveal my tale, and you will dash the cup from your lips.
He's basically saying, let my story save you from yourself.
Exactly. It's a desperate attempt to stop Walton from making the same kind of catastrophic mistakes. And that's our cue to shift focus.
Right. From the Arctic ice back to Geneva, to Victor's origins. Where did all this start?
Well, his family background is described as, pretty ideal. Distinguished Genovese family, father known for integrity. There's this story about his father marrying Caroline Beaufort.
It wasn't just a standard marriage, was it?
No, it was presented as this act of pure kindness. Her father died poor, left her an orphan, and Victor's father basically rescued her, married her a couple of years later. So Victor's childhood is rooted in privilege, but also this deep sense of family affection.
He calls it a silken cord of affection. Says he was treated like an idol. Never really denied anything important.
Which might be part of the problem looking back. And that sense of maybe entitlement, it extends to Elizabeth Lavenza.
The adopted sister.
Right.
Yeah.
Found in poverty near Lake Como, the daughter of a Milanese nobleman. Victor's mother insists on taking her in. And Victor, he immediately sees her as his possession almost, his more than sister.
It sounds loving on the surface, but there's that hint of ownership.
Definitely. So you have this environment, loving, high status, everything provided. Where does the fatal flaw, the ambition, come from?
He says himself his violent passions got channeled into learning, specifically learning the secrets of heaven and earth.
He wanted to know the metaphysical, the physical secrets of the world, not just learn facts, but penetrate mysteries. It wasn't about community or improvement.
And that led him down a strange path, didn't it? Away from modern science.
Straight to the old alchemists. Cornelius Agrippa, Paracelsus, Albertus Magnus. These guys were completely outdated by then.
So he's rejecting the Enlightenment in a way.
Absolutely. Embracing the mystical, the solitary quest for superhuman power. He wasn't just curious. He wanted the philosopher's stone, the elixir of life. He wanted to banish disease, make humans invulnerable.
Those are godlike goals.
Yeah.
Controlling life and death itself.
Yeah. And then, when he's 15, there's this dramatic interruption. Destiny, Victor calls it, a huge thunderstorm at Bellerive.
The lightning hits an old oak tree.
Shatters it. Reduces it to thin ribbons of wood. Just pure, raw power of nature.
And someone explains the science behind it. Electricity, galvanism.
Right. A visitor explains the modern theories. And Victor, for a moment, sees the light. He scorns his old alchemist heroes, calls their work despicable nonsense. He actually turns to mathematics and real science.
He calls this moment a last effort made by the spirit of preservation, like something was trying to save him.
Exactly, the spirit of good, he says. But he admits destiny was too potent. The pull was too strong.
And the real turning point comes later at university. Ingolstadt.
Age 17. First, he meets Professor Kremp.
Who sounds pretty unpleasant. Little squat man, gruff voice, repulsive countenance.
And Kremp just dismisses the alchemists out of hand, which initially just pushes Victor further away from natural science. He thinks, if this is science, I want no part of it.
This could have been his escape route, maybe?
It could have been, but then he meets Professor Waldman.
Ah, Waldman. The contrast.
Total contrast. Mild, attractive, diplomatic. When Victor mentions the alchemists, Waldman doesn't sneer. He actually praises them.
Praises them.
As the foundations of modern chemistry. He says they were the pioneers, the ones who set the stage. He gives them respect.
And that's all Victor needed to hear.
That was the spark. Waldman reframed it. Suddenly, natural philosophy wasn't boring formulas. It was the modern path to the kind of power the alchemists dreamed of. Victor says that lecture decided his future destiny.
And he threw himself into it completely.
For 2 years, yeah. He blew everyone away, excelled in chemistry, natural philosophy, became the star student.
But it wasn't healthy, was it? He describes it as a singular focus, neglecting everything else. Family, friends, Geneva, his own health.
Total isolation through achievement. And that isolation leads him down an even darker path. His focus narrows. From general science to the fundamental structure of life itself.
He starts asking that huge question, whence did the principle of life proceed?
And he decides, logically perhaps, but chillingly, that to understand life, you have to understand death, decay, corruption.
So he starts spending time in unpleasant places.
He describes it himself. Days and nights in vaults and charnel houses, studying decay up close, watching how the worm inherits the wonders of the eye and brain.
He frames it as necessary scientific work. A sacrifice for the goal.
But it's crossing a massive ethical line, isn't it? Seeking forbidden knowledge literally in the grave.
And then he finds it.
Yeah.
The secret.
The secret of infusing life. He describes it as a sudden light. Brilliant, wondrous, yet simple. And there's this note of, arrogance. He marvels that he was the one chosen to find it.
Confirms his sense of being special.
Yeah.
Destined for this.
Exactly. But the application of this discovery,
Yeah.
He calls it filthy creation.
He decides to build a giant, 8 feet tall.
Yeah, because working with tiny human parts would be too slow, too fiddly. So he scales everything up. He's collecting bones, experimenting on animals, working alone in this attic workshop.
It sounds grim. He uses words like filthy, dabbling among the damp of the grave.
And he drives himself relentlessly. Winter, spring, summer pass in this unremitting ardor. He sacrifices sleep, health, avoids everyone. He says he felt like a slave to his work, not an artist.
Which suggests the creation itself wasn't the point. It was a means to an end, proving he could do it.
I think so. Which leads us to that dreary night of November, 1 o'clock in the morning.
The moment of animation.
He applies the spark, and the creature's eye opens. A dull yellow eye. It breathes hard. Its limbs have this convulsive motion.
And Victor's reaction. Instant regret.
Instant catastrophic revulsion. He says the beauty of the dream vanished. All he feels is breathless horror and disgust.
He just runs, flees the room, abandons it immediately.
Which is the defining act, isn't it? He plays God, achieves this incredible thing, and his first instinct is to run away from his responsibility.
And the guilt hits him hard. That nightmare he has.
Oh, yeah. Tries to sleep, dreams he's embracing Elizabeth.
And she turns into...
the corpse of his dead mother. Lips livid with the hue of death, grave worms crawling on her. It's horrifying.
It's like his creation has instantly poisoned everything he loves, everything pure in his life.
Absolutely. And he wakes up from this horror only to find the actual creature standing over his bed.
Holding back the curtain, just looking at him.
Staring, muttering these inarticulate sounds, grinning, reaching out a hand.
Reaching out.
Yeah.
Maybe for connection.
Possibly, but Victor doesn't see that. He sees a monster, a specter, and he runs again.
Spends the night outside in the courtyard in the rain. Just terrified.
And then morning comes, and suddenly there's this moment of almost jarring normalcy. He literally runs into his best friend, Henry Clerval.
Who's just arrived from Geneva, planning to study. Clerval represents home, friendship, sanity.
For a second, the horror recedes. But then Victor remembers the creature might still be in his room.
He rushes upstairs, finds the room empty. The hideous guest is gone.
But instead of relief, Victor just snaps. He starts laughing hysterically, leaping over furniture, pure mania.
Clerval is terrified, obviously.
And Victor collapses into this violent fit. It triggers a nervous fever that lasts for months. He's raving about the monster the whole time. Clerval nurses him, knowing something truly terrible must have happened.
So the abandonment immediately leads to Victor's breakdown.
Yeah.
But now we need the other side of the story.
Yes. We absolutely have to hear from the creature himself. His narrative is crucial. It starts right from his first moments of consciousness.
Which are just confusion, right? A strange multiplicity of sensations.
Exactly. He has to slowly figure things out. Light, dark, sound, touch. His first encounter with fire is so symbolic.
It gives warmth, light,
Delight. But then he touches the embers.
and gets burned. Pain.
Yeah. The world offers both comfort and immediate suffering. It's his first lesson.
And his education continues pretty brutally. First contact with humans.
Total disaster. He wanders into a shepherd's hut. The old man inside just shrieks and bolts.
Then he tries a village. Even worse.
Much worse. They attack him, throw stones, other weapons. He gets badly bruised. He learns fear, isolation, and prejudice almost instantly.
He learns that just being hideous makes him an enemy.
Right. So he finds refuge, this little hovel attached to a cottage, and through a crack in the wall, he starts watching the family inside.
The de Lacys. The blind father, Agatha, Felix.
And this becomes his education. He sees their gentleness, their kindness to each other, and he starts learning language.
How does he manage that?
He watches Felix teaching the Arabian woman Safi. He picks up words fire, milk, bread, wood, then names father, Agatha, Felix. He calls it the godlike science of language.
But he learns more than just words, doesn't he? He starts to feel for them.
Deeply. He sees how poor they are. They often go hungry themselves to make sure the old blind father has enough.
And this affects him.
Profoundly. His first real choice, his first act of will, is kindness. He realizes he's been accidentally stealing their food, and he stops.
And he starts helping them? Secretly.
Yeah. Every night he gathers firewood for them, stacks it by their door. They have no idea where it's coming from. They call him their good spirit.
So he is capable of benevolence.
Mhm.
He finds joy in their happiness.
Absolutely. Which makes what happens next even more tragic. As he learns more, especially history and society.
Through that book, Volney's Ruins of Empires.
Right. Felix uses it to teach Safie. The creature learns about governments, wealth, poverty, social rank. He learns what society values. High and unsullied descent united with riches.
And he realizes he has none of that.
None of it. No money, no friends, no family, no property. Plus, he's gigantic and, in his own words, hideously deformed and loathsome. He doesn't fit anywhere in the human system.
It's an existential nightmare. He's utterly alone, unique in the worst way.
And this is where he makes that crucial comparison. He reads Paradise Lost as well, another book he finds. He relates to Adam.
As the first of his kind, created beings.
Right, that should be his role. But he quickly decides he's more like Satan, the fallen angel, cast out by his creator for no misdeed.
And he utters that famous line.
I was benevolent and good. Misery made me a fiend. He blames his turn to evil entirely on his suffering and rejection.
Before that happens, though, he learns the de Lacy's own sad story.
Yeah, which shows him human injustice isn't just directed at monsters. Felix had helped Safie's father, a Turkish merchant, escape unjust imprisonment in France.
And the French government retaliated against the de Lacys.
Exactly. Threw them in prison, stripped them of their wealth and status, exiled them forever. That's why they're living in poverty in Germany. Human systems can be incredibly cruel, even to good people.
But even knowing that, the creature still hopes for acceptance from them.
He holds on to that hope. He hatches a plan, a really thought-out, poignant plan.
To approach the father first, because he's blind.
Precisely. He figures de Lacy will judge him by his words, his manner, not his appearance. He waits until the old man is alone.
And it works, initially.
Beautifully. He pleads for protection, tells his story a bit. De Lacy responds with kindness, offers him brotherly love and charity. The creature feels a moment of hope.
But then the others come back. Felix, Safie, Agatha.
And it's instant chaos, based purely on sight. Agatha faints, Safie runs,
And
Felix
attacks him violently.
jumps on him, tears him away from his father, beats him furiously with a stick, even though the creature is vastly stronger.
He could have easily hurt Felix, couldn't he?
Easily. Torn him limb from limb, he says. But he doesn't. He just endures the beating, heartbroken, feels this bitter sickness. He lets himself be driven away.
And when he creeps back later, they're gone.
Abandoned the cottage. Fled in terror forever.
That's the final straw, isn't it? The absolute turning point.
Absolutely. He says his mildness had fled. All that potential for good is just scorched away by this ultimate rejection. Misery boils over into fury.
And he burns the cottage down.
Burns it to the ground, lets out this loud scream of rage and despair. He destroys the only place he ever felt any connection or happiness.
From this point on, it's all bitterness, all vengeance.
Pretty much. There's one last flicker of his old self months later. He saves the little girl from drowning in a river.
And how was he rewarded?
The man with her, presumably her father or guardian, sees him, assumes the worst, and shoots him.
Shoots him after he just saved the girl.
Yep. That confirms it for him. Universal, violent hatred. He owes humanity nothing now. Society has declared war on him.
So his path leads him towards Geneva, towards Victor.
Exactly. And near Geneva, he encounters a child in the woods. It's Victor's little brother, William.
His first thought isn't murder, is it?
No, initially she thinks maybe a child will be unprejudiced. He considers kidnapping William, educating him, making him a companion.
But the child reacts with fear.
Screams, calls him monster, ugly wretch, and then seals his own fate.
By mentioning his father.
My papa is M. Frankenstein. The name hits the creature like a physical blow.
He realizes who this child is. His enemy's brother.
And the switch flips. From generalized anger to targeted revenge against Victor, he strangles William on the spot. Frankenstein, you belong then to my enemy. You shall be my first victim.
But just killing William isn't enough for him. He wants to inflict more pain. Systematically.
Yeah. He shows he's learned the science of mischief, as he calls it. He finds that miniature portrait of Victor's mother, Caroline, on William's body, a symbol of beauty, of family love, everything he's denied.
And he decides to frame someone innocent, Justine Moritz.
The beloved family servant. He finds her sleeping in a barn, exhausted from searching for William, and plants the locket on her.
His reasoning is just chilling.
It really is. Not I, but she shall suffer. The murder I have committed because I am forever robbed of all that she could give me, she shall atone. He's using the tools of human society evidence, justice against them.
Which leads to that awful trial scene. Justine is accused. The evidence seems damning.
And Victor knows. He knows the truth. He sees himself as the real cause, the living monument of presumption.
But he says nothing. Why? Fear.
Fear, yes. Fear that nobody would believe him, that they'd dismiss him as mad, and fear that even if they did, it wouldn't save Justine and he'd just end up locked away. Self-preservation, essentially.
So his silence condemns her.
Completely. Justine is pressured into a false confession, hoping for absolution. She later tells Elizabeth it was a lie, but it's too late. She's executed.
The first hapless victim, Victor calls her, of his unhallowed arts. He feels like the true murderer.
He's tormented by guilt, considers suicide, but stops himself because he needs to protect Elizabeth and his father from what the creature might do next.
This drives him into the mountains, doesn't it? Seeking solace in nature.
To the valley of Chamonix. And that's where the creature finally confronts him face to face on the Glacier Montanvert.
Victor's reaction is pure rage.
Lunges at him. Abhorred monster! Fiend! But the creature is stronger, faster, easily avoids him.
And then the creature makes his case. It's quite powerful.
Incredibly powerful. I am thy creature, I ought to be thy Adam, but I am rather the fallen angel. He basically says, you made me, you owe me.
And he makes a demand. A companion.
A female creature,
Right.
like him. He promises that if Victor complies, they'll vanish forever into the wilds of South America, leaving humanity alone.
His argument is logical, in a way.
Devastatingly logical. I am malicious because I am miserable. Am I not shunned and hated by all mankind? He connects his evil directly to his suffering, caused by Victor's abandonment and society's rejection.
And Victor, he's actually persuaded. For a time.
He's torn. Duty to his creation versus duty to humanity. But the creature's misery, his eloquence, it convinces Victor. He feels justice demands he try to alleviate the suffering, partly to protect others from future violence.
So he agrees. He'll make the female.
Yeah. He travels to England, then finds this really remote, desolate island in Scotland to do the work. Total isolation again.
But this time it's different. He's not driven by that initial fiery passion.
No, this is cold blood. He dreads the process. It's filthy work done out of obligation and fear.
And as he works, doubts creep in. Big ones.
He starts thinking through the consequences. What if this new creature is worse? What if she refuses the pact with the male? What if she hates him?
And the biggest to her.
What if they reproduce, create a race of devils that could plague humanity forever? The potential horror becomes too much.
So halfway through, he destroys her.
Sits there in his lab, looks at the half-formed female creature, and just tears it apart in a sudden burst of renewed horror and conviction.
And a creature was watching.
Through the window, he appears moments later, utterly betrayed, howling with despair and rage. Victor tells him to leave.
And that's when the creature delivers that final chilling threat.
The one that seals everyone's fate. I will be with you on your wedding night.
Now, this is critical. How Victor interprets that threat.
It's fatally narcissistic, isn't it? He assumes the threat is against him, that the creature intends to kill him on his wedding night.
He makes it all about himself. He becomes the tragic hero preparing for his final battle.
Exactly. He completely misses the real target, his happiness, his connection to others. The creature is aiming for emotional devastation, not just physical death.
And this miscalculation has immediate terrible consequences for Henry Clerval.
Victor leaves Scotland, destroys the remains of the female creature at sea, and then gets shipwrecked, or lands, in Ireland, where he's promptly arrested for murder.
They make him look at the body.
And it's Henry, strangled, with the telltale black mark of fingers on his neck.
Victor just shatters. Another breakdown.
Months in prison, raving, feverish, accusing himself of murdering William, Justine, and Clerval. The creature's revenge is proving far more intricate and cruel than Victor imagined.
He's eventually cleared, returns to Geneva totally broken, but he still agrees to marry Elizabeth.
Reluctantly. But he feels he has to. He thinks it's the only way to lure the creature into the open, to finally have that confrontation where he expects to die. He's still stuck on that interpretation.
He even writes to Elizabeth, telling her he has a terrible secret to reveal. But only after the wedding. He's setting the stage for his own perceived doom.
He's playing out his heroic tragedy in his mind, while the real tragedy is about to strike elsewhere.
So the wedding happens. They travel to Evian for their wedding night.
And Victor is on high alert, sends Elizabeth off to bed while he patrols the inn, armed, searching every shadow, expecting the attack on himself any second.
He convinces himself for a moment that maybe the danger is past.
And then he hears it, that shrill and dreadful scream from Elizabeth's room.
And in that instant, he knows. The truth hits him. the creature's real target.
He rushes in, and she's dead, thrown across the bed, strangled. The murderous mark of the fiend's grasp was on her neck.
It's the ultimate price for his blindness, his negligence.
Complete devastation, and as he's reeling, he looks up, sees the creature at the window. Grinning, pointing at Elizabeth's body, as if he seemed to jeer, Victor says. Just pure, triumphant malice.
Victor tries to shoot him, but he escapes, vanishes into the lake.
And that's pretty much the end for Victor's old life. His father hears the news, the cumulative grief is too much, and he dies, just days later.
So Victor has lost everyone. His brother, Justine, Clerval, Elizabeth, his father, all gone.
Nothing left but vengeance. He dedicates his entire existence to hunting the creature down. No rest, no peace, just pursuit.
Which leads him across continents, eventually into the Arctic. The creature is always just ahead.
Yeah, the creature actively leads him on, leaves clues, messages, taunts, really. Things like, prepare, your toils only begin, keeping Victor's hatred burning, drawing him further and further into desolation.
It's this obsessive mutual destruction that brings him onto Walton's ship, still fueled by vengeance.
Right up to the end. He gives Walton his story, but his final speech is still justification. He argues his duty to mankind outweighed his duty to the creature.
He claims he was right to destroy the female because the creature showed such unparalleled malignity. Still no real admission of his own role in creating that malignity.
Not really. He dies believing his fight was righteous, urging Walton to take up the hunt. He passes on the burden of his own failure, dies with a gentle smile.
But that's not quite the end of the story Walton records. The creature appears.
Finds Walton in the cabin with Victor's body, this huge, distorted figure hovering over his dead creator. And he's not gloating. He's expressing grief and horror.
Real remorse.
It seems like it. He tells Walton that Victor's suffering was nothing compared to the anguish that was mine during the lingering detail of its execution. He claims he felt the horror of his own actions.
Why did he do it then, if he felt remorse?
He says it was impotent envy, bitter indignation, especially when Victor destroyed the female, denying him companionship while still seeking his own happiness with Elizabeth. The rejection, the loneliness drove him to lash out. He hated the evil, but felt compelled by vengeance.
He still defends himself, though, doesn't he? He questions the injustice.
Fiercely. Am I to be thought the only criminal when all humankind sinned against me? He brings up Felix attacking him, the rustic shooting him.
He argues he was capable of good, but was made evil by how everyone treated him.
His core argument remains. He was abandoned, rejected, hated from the start. He was made a monster. The fallen angel becomes a malignant devil.
And his final act.
Self-destruction. He tells Walton he's going to the northernmost point of the globe to build his own funeral pyre and burn himself, to finally extinguish the misery and the capacity for vengeance within him. Then he vanishes into the darkness.
Wow. So that closes the loop. Walton's ambition mirrored Victor's. Victor's creation led to rejection. Rejection led to the creature's violence. And it all ends in death and desolation in the Arctic.
And Victor, right to the end, focused on his duty to his species, but completely failed in his duty to the individual life he created. He never truly saw the creature's potential for good, only the monstrosity that rejection fostered.
It leaves you with that massive question, doesn't it? Victor insisted his duty to mankind was paramount.
But if the creature was initially benevolent, if he was only turned into a fiend by universal human rejection, starting with Victor himself, where does the real horror lie? Is it the science itself? Or is it the failure of empathy, the inability to show that brotherly love and charity to something different?
Especially when the creature, unlike Victor perhaps, seems capable of recognizing his own evil and seeks to end it. If just one person, Felix and rustic Victor, had reacted differently.
Could the tragedy have been averted? If humanity, starting with the creator, had offered acceptance instead of revulsion, would the monster ever have existed? That's the unsettling thought these documents leave us wrestling with. What is the true limit of our responsibility to that which we create and to that which is simply other?